This is Zettelcast, brought to you by readers, writers, thinkers, and teachers from Lillipub, along with our partners in thought, our Zettelkastens. In this show, we share discoveries that our Zettelkastens have shown us.
There you go.
And compare notes on how we're using this marvelous invention in our creative work. Thank you for joining us.
All right, Book.
Let's do it again.
All right.
Episode 39. Heard in the Henge.
Yeah.
Hello. It is episode 39 of Zettelcast, coming to you on June 16th, 2025. And we're a little giddy because we and our plus ones have had fun. And in a lot of ways. So we're going to be talking about and reading and sharing updates on Roanoke, and I'll read what our challenge was. But we're going to take a few moments to start out by sharing what's happened since last week's episode, which has kind of like it's dropped a little pebble into a pond and out it goes. So Kathleen, I'm definitely going to make sure that there is a link to your recent series on this very subject. But, what would you like to just tease folks for?
The series is speculative because I'm no expert on it, but I'm thinking that, wow, out there in audience land, maybe there are people who know more than I do, who've tried it, who've had some practical experience with it. So I've been in the mind of this, throwing it out there. And we focused the general question of who knows something about teaching young ones. And then the next episode was about specifically very young ones before they could write, because Bev brought up that she's actually doing this with her grandchildren. And then from there, so many comments came in, detailed paragraph length comments, the likes of which I've never seen on any episodes or any series. So I took an entire episode to share those. So it's been a series that has caught some interest. I don't have anything specific other than getting the ball rolling that I could contribute to it. So I'm just mostly a questioner and a reporter.
Yeah, there's so many ideas that you were able to bubble forth from the comments and your own comments to them in today's episode. And you're just getting started. Everybody's just getting started. A lot of great ideas, and every one of them needs a main card.
Ooh,
and a tagline and a home in the index.
Very true. Okay, more homework.
Yeah. So I don't know whether you were already planning to do this, Kathleen, but it's just dovetailed so perfectly and involves our group of followers.
Yeah.
In such a tangible way. We've gotten new subscriptions. Thank you for those who have subscribed. And obviously, thank you for the comments that you give to any of our channels. As how can we know whether we're hitting home?
I'm thinking maybe we could have a Zoom call, maybe on the Zettelcast, bringing people in, because we have so many wonderful different ideas, to just have a roundtable discussion and just throw it out there and let it be a little bit freeform.
Yeah. We'll make that happen.
Very appropriate channel to have that, since this is where it all began with, thank you, Deb, who threw the question out in the first place.
Yeah, it was a good one. Incendiary. And then, so my little update, I mentioned somebody that I used to work with who was a phenomenal salesman. So true confessions here. Not only is he off the social media grid a little bit, I was racking my brain to come up with his last name.
Uh-oh.
And so besides reconnecting with some of his colleagues who I thought might know how to reach him, I was racking, and then I gave up and I texted my old boss. And before I noticed that she had responded, I remembered his last name. And it was funny because the last name is a character who's kind of funny comic character that is an imaginary friend that my husband and I have. He has a last name, and it was that. It's like, oh my God. So anyway, haven't connected with him yet. Still making the rounds, but I'm hopeful.
Hmm. Last names help.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
So any other for the youngins updates? If you
Can't
got
say I
nothing, it's
have one.
cool. Yeah. All right. So we'll keep on going with these updates as they happen, right? And we've started a little fire. So today's main activity. The name of this episode is Herd in the Henge. And this is the gauntlet I threw to my friends on this show. Pick a fact, idea, something interesting from your Zettelkasten. It can be anything you like. The henge is a place to commemorate anything of value. Write a scene that involves at least two human beings discussing your chosen subject in the henge, prompted by that subject's representation there. The two human beings can, but need not, include characters we've already introduced. Feel free to introduce someone new from purely incidental to pivotal. No spoilers. Yep. Anybody have trouble with that last one?
Oh no, mine was.
Oh, I had.
Story.
It's like, well, just get them down and then move them over. I was tormented in a good way. All right, so who wants to go first?
I will go first. Mine is short,
All right.
and it's like all of my stuff, at least so far, it's a work in progress because this is definitely zero draft, you know. Okay.
Amen.
So I'm sorry.
I said amen.
It's called The Dream. Good afternoon, ladies. Dawn, Claire. Inspection room 75J, level 3 is expecting you. Claire particularly loved the soothing feeling of sound Central Henge caused in their minds as it DM'd the auto door opening PM. Their centuries-old mind-melding culture might have been equated with Aladdin's lantern-based wishes from ages past by those less historically blessed. The two 10-year-old BFFs from birth couldn't have been more different, giggling behind mouth-hiding hands, their private thought modes simultaneously clashing. How can she be so messy? How can she be so prissy? They could not have loved each other more. Don, already headed toward a hover chair, continued to read the latest Jesse James Space Heroes Ancient Collectible series, while Claire waved a chair off, preferring the moving aisle. She focused on the cues at hand. What'll it be? What should we pick? Why? As was always the way, it seemed, they arrived and stood facing room 75J, level 3, at the very same time. Inside, artifacts arranged themselves in request order, ready for simulated hands-on close inspection. Half an hour later, Don hissed at the displays. This isn't working. Claire's snapped-headed bob eye roll made it official. With one foot each, A step outside room 75J level 3. They heard a whoosh, slide, click up, as a levered, handheld square materialized inches from their faces. It hung suspended midair, surprise, knocking them back into strategically placed waiting inspection chairs. Seconds later, the square was resting on the polished wooden table with easy simulation reach. It was a Dymo, circa 1981, portable labeling device. Knowing it when they saw it, looking deep into each other's eyes, they shared an instant, single, snap-headed nod. Yes, they'd found it. Claire checked off step 1 on her chart. Their capstone project for anthropology class was now well on its way. They'd already planned to crush the 65 satisfaction rating, but with this selection, now they were sure of it, though it wasn't clear yet how they'd pull it off. Still, Dawn was 10 paces and 3 hours away, having already initiated their next step. Those images swam around as she struggled to remember, to capture the dream fragments. They were like outstretched arms, hands, fingers, grasping flavorful possible answer bits to ZC39's assignment. Write a Roanoke story. 2 or more characters is discussing something, anything, but no spoilers. Make it a rock.
Oh yeah, love those works in progress, don't you all?
Nice.
It's working me.
Very nice.
What was the dream characters? What had her dream characters chosen? Oh yes, the Dymo labeler. All right. But would it bridge the gap between a mind-melding culture living 250 plus years in another universe? Was that even the idea? She wasn't sure, was actually still asleep. How could 10-year-olds from a culture of centuries-old melders grasp the unfolded impact of a captured, mark-making, manually run device invented and used to make grunted sounds stick to objects? In the dream, I'd heard them share those thoughts between them, especially the bit about the need to communicate through throated, uttered approximations of meaning. That must have been so hard, they marveled. Imagine being dependent upon sounds that travel through the air and marks on paper, and all different only in accordance to accidents of birth location. It's a miracle they got along as well as they did. In the dream, the girls resolutely squared their shoulders. They'd made up their minds. This was their artifact, and they were sticking to it. Besides, they thought, foreheads touching, it's a link as important as the air we breathe, and an absolute miracle no one has looked at it from their perspective in all this time. The Henge assured them they were the first. What did the labeler make a way for? What took place as a natural result of his existence or its contemplated existence? Utterable labels created at will by anyone with a few dollars and a need. The mother whose blind child read Braille labeled objects by touch. The community center who put itself back together after the flood had practically destroyed the place. The meticulous housewife who labeled shelf spaces so she could accept the kitchen help from her hyperactive, ADHD-driven second daughter. In the dream, Claire continued with her list of different lives and businesses that were helped by the labeler. A handheld chaos and clutter chaser. She smiled as her list grew. Dawn drew pictures going from dark confusion to clear light of understanding where guesses were eliminated, all thanks to the labeler. Which, they wondered, came first? Thoughts of info management via labeling or printing press? Technology's forward movement via progressively standardized, repeatable information presentation, or how thoughts of a labeling machine automated the application of information to objects led to the turning machine's fundamentality. It was all connected. The dream echoed ever and ever softer in my mind. It's all connected. It's times fold. It's in a recalled thought, a resurrected bit card. I woke up knowing I had a story to write.
Wow.
Whew.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, you captured so many elements of the hint. I think that the line that just really stuck for me was, sticking grunted syllables onto physical objects.
Well, and I made a note about that very thing, which is this element of kind of wistfully or judgmentally looking at those poor people. I mean, I think that's a fascinating element that's going on
Yes.
because that's what we want to do. I mean, it's so authentic. I love that because
Yep.
it says so much.
Yeah. 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 You get into the language of the henge and you realize it's wackadoo.
Yeah.
Which is funny that you say that because I struggled with that. I really struggled with that. Like I have pages and pages of just crap and I'm trying to wrap my head around this. And I think I finally found a way in.
Good. Yeah, that's that method to my madness.
Yeah.
Maybe some other person will help.
Right?
So I think that the next order in the order, so Kathleen, then me, then Victoria. I think that will be nice.
All right.
Yeah.
So because Deb treated us to such a really nice, generous story, I'm going to do the same and not cut mine. So
Set a great precedent.
all right, Kathleen.
Okay, actually, I was pretty much treating with some of the same ideas that Deb was. Is the difference in communication, struggles in communication when you have to go back to language, which the hinge forces you to do, because you have to leave the link behind. So I have to show a picture of what my object. So here's my object, and the little display was this is a punch out Valentine's book from the 1950s, and then some of the little candies that have words on them. So you realize, of course, that this exhibit is about communication, about a unique form of communication. A Valentine is a very unique form of communication. So here's my story. One display drew a cluster of giggly girls. They would have loved to touch it, but it was under glass. Two of the girls were sisters, their mother close behind. The littlest, Charlie, pointed to the colorful drawing of two little girls in dresses on the cover. Mommy, why do their legs show? Because they're wearing dresses, honey. What's a dress? Don't be silly, her sister chimed in. Sky wore a dress for her wedding to Kevin. That was a dress? Mom clarified. A gown is a type of dress. but Sky's legs didn't show. This was going sideways. Perhaps Carly was too young for her first trip to the Henge. Wanting her daughters to notice more, she gestured to the center section with the punch-out Valentines, but quickly realized she was going to have a hard time explaining what they were. Fortunately, just then a Henge employee with a big Henge Helper badge arrived and began handing each child a powdery candy in the shape of a heart. Carly and her sister waited for their turn to get one, all eyes on the helper. Look at your word. Carly was helpless. Yours says love, her sister supplied. Now, imagine running up to a boy you think is cute. You speak that word into his thou and run away. A Valentine was like that. Chris watched from the sidelines, his attention strangely riveted by the scene. As he came back to awareness, he realized he had been picturing himself placing a small candy heart in the palm of Jenna's hand. Then, with a jolt, he thought of the next build-up session set for Saturday and the possibility of a special sort of communication without the link. He wondered if stomach butterflies were part of the history of that artifact.
Nice.
Good.
Some of the things I'm trying to...
I remember those candies.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweethearts, right?
Mhm.
All right. So mine, apologize if this gets too long. I tried reading it. It took more than 15 minutes. We'll see how I do.
Story time.
It's called Secrets. Sonny and Chris entered the Henge lobby. This lobby had become their favored meeting place. How was the build-up? Sonny asked. Juicy sweet, my man, Chris said. Mays and Bays, Jenna's name, by the way, came near to stealing the show. That sent Sonny up. You wore it! What were your spectacular stunts? No, man, nothing like that. This belt and, wow, a blind girl, Bertie, they built a stairway to heaven. Or from there, or of it. Pick your preposition. Sonny, not sure he followed all of that, said, sounds marvelous. Sorry I couldn't make it. I had my first watch. Oh, of course, take two on me. Chris reached around and squeezed, tooting the old Sonny horn. He timed the demand. What's the all? Sonny's voice changed. Unexpectedness unmitigated, through, and the other way too, he said. Chris started with what? Summoning blindly for the next vine? Did you expect? I thought I'd get bombarded with telemetry, but like every rookie ever, I got caught up watching the vein. Dear Lydia, that thing, can't even call it a thing. I don't know. Sonny bounced his shoulders a bit. Whatever that is, it made my brain babble. You can still hear it when I talk about it. It just feels like it wants out in every direction I never noticed. And what can I do? Chris dared not reveal the possibility of a thought other than the next to find Sonny's lips. The feed from the vein was awesome, even to awesomeness itself. I was sure Jenna would mock me mercilessly, but she didn't. Chris, nonchalant. What did Jenna do? Sonny gazed backward at the tone in that voice. He pepped himself. Call me utterly frank, because that's who I am. Then he said, as straight into thou as he knew how, she played me her first vain fascination. Like you never see her. She cut the replay with the completely unnecessary and ridiculous defense she had prepared. Or maybe that was raw. I don't know. Chris threw his head back over his shoulder, grinning at the sky. Outstanding! Please accept these 2 humble points, Lady Jenna, wherever you are. The story Sonny might have told of the gorilla drubbing remained unrelated. They had strolled a lazy circuit back to the lobby entrance, stopping here and there to gaze at one of the Epiphany taffs. What does it say, they'd asked, to themselves, to each other. In the Epiphany taffy, the question never got old. Chris ran his hand over the wood carving at the entrance. His fingers always seemed to find the hand-sized apple cheeks. He knows, give him a break. The ancestors turned that "hello, I'm" quality just for Chris Houston. Moth potion. The fool's a walking bullseye in here. Chris blinked a bit. So, about that Bézier belt. His hand free-falling back to his side. He resumed his maybe grazing of the wall. Where did you get it? Sonny's shirt chuffed. I made it. Chris stopped in his tracks, turned, grabbed Sonny by the shoulders, and shook him to the beat of "People make these?" I kid you not, like that. Here? Now? I never saw him so fired. Wowza. He let go and got whatever doors he just blew back down to some kind of togetherness. That was something. Prowl resumed. Chris puffed just once more. These Bézier belts seem discovered. I thought they were rare, man. Sonny kept pace and said, that's not wrong. Discovery is literally how they're made. I mean, when they're really made and not foisted. Chris looked at him in the eye and asked, where, what, how, all the questions. Did you learn this? Sonny went, Okay, it's from maybe my favorite vessel transmission. You haven't seen the one where Sam teaches Bala to make a Bézier belt? Chris kept with him. No, I haven't followed that show for ages. He gestured an outline around his own body. All ears, brother. Well, I probably see it more than anyone. My mom edits the broadcast. I get to see the whole business. Raw stuff. Unbelievable. Raw stuff. Chris played for a laugh, mock quake in his voice. What are you saying? Yeah, of course it's natural to ask that, Sonny replied. I did. I have seen the very explicit do not crosses in their terms. This is like, well, not always, but a lot. Hang it all out there, thou. He shook his head like a dog exiting pond. Stopping description now. In a family of 4, none and every stereotype daring you like a little sneaky thief to answer, what are you looking at? Chris all in wondered what all of that could be like. Where should he look for it? Sonny said, I follow their transmission so closely, Sam's like a distant father to me. He glanced over. I know, on the nose, considering me and single mother mom. Chris smiled his default. You lead. So this is an episode where Sam is unusually patient with Bala. Sonny caught his replay. Now that I say it, that might be my favorite thing about it. Hard to say. It's all good. Chris slowed their circuit a bit. He pretended to gaze at a rudder-shaped pebble on the wall. Sonny joined pace and said, so Sam sits Bala down next to him at his workbench. He says, net weaving time, son. Sonny cleared his throat. Chris scanned around the ceiling and noted, they never can keep the dust out of this room. Sonny smiled and, in on the downswing, resumed. Bala had harvested bast from their greenhouse, and it wasn't much, just enough to make a little belt for his little waist. At this point, Chris had to stifle, mute, keep to himself. Bast? Are you kidding me? Sonny continued, Sam showed Bala, in his taciturn way, how to lay a few fibers down, give them a good, like you want to know look, and find their twists. Then you select a few more fibers. Really, what he says is, let a few more volunteer. Chris sent silently sealing word. Sam, wherever you are, take 5 of my finest points. You look at the twists that seem to want to go together and you use your fingers just a little bit, just lending whatever help seems asked for, wherever their pairing seems wanting to happen. Sonny checked back in with Chris. This gets difficult to describe. Not hurt feeling difficult, just hard to put words into, with, around. Choose your preposition, they said together. What is this net weaving activity really called? Chris asked. Well, Sonny said, I don't remember the show title. That serves a different purpose anyway. I don't really want to know what name it got. Chris said, I heard net weaving time. Sonny said, I know, a bit on the nose, even for this in-your-face place, right? He slowed to safe speed for the circuits flowing in the lobby and said, Bala got the hang of it quickly. Here, see? Sonny had drawn Chris's attention to a finger, Sonny's finger, placed on his belt, right-hand side. He drew a kind of a target with a bullseye, small area, quarter palm maybe. There was something different there, something a bit obviously feeling its way, just there. How in the world does it show that? Chris wondered. Why do I understand it? Chris switched gear. He looked forward to getting to the heart of his very own Bézier belt, handmade by the hearty hand of this excellent fine dude. Sonny, helixing a path from that first knot, keeping vigil at the meeting of iliopsoas, internal abdominal oblique, and waistline, he said, Bala started like this, and then look how much better it gets as it goes along. Chris flabbergasted for just 1 second. How exactly did you manage to copy all of that? Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Doing it, Deb. Okay. Sonny said, oh no, I didn't copy it. I scaled up to my size for one thing. Bala was a squirt. But I listened so closely, it was like Sam coaching me, right there with little brother Bala. Chris slowed the stride back. I didn't even need to repeat the recording to get it all straight for myself. Like I said, my mom works on the show, and I hang out with her in the cutting room. I've got my own portable in there, and I have permanent permission to watch any vessel footage at any time, whenever, wherever. The vessel is not all I watch, but it's one of Mom's always go for it's. Ready now, Sonny said. You can count on one thing with Bala. Money in the bank. He will narrate every one of his little projects. People have no idea what the feed from this kid is like. Chris caught a glance. Anyway, Sam taught Bala and me to start, and my little man taught me to get it finished. Sonny looked down and, oh, yikey psyche, look at this full petting that place. When he raised his head back up, Chris was already, shall we, pointing his own head around the epi. Which exit? Stride regained, Sonny observed. It's a good thing this bast stuff lasts like it does. I wear this belt all the time. Chris mimed getting Beady Baby's attention, pointing more precisely. This one, that, choose a pearl, good boy. Carver, Sonny said. Chris headed them toward Carver and asked over his shoulder, everywhere except? Except? Oh yeah, Sonny dropped in, back with, I wear it everywhere except on the mat. You're still on hook for the real story, good as that one was. And with that, Chris led the way to the limit. He wanted Sonny to grade his homework.
Ooh.
Very nice.
Paula is introduced but doesn't quite appear, although we learned some of his characteristic.
Yeah. He's introduced like Mike at the Godfather wedding.
Yeah.
Everybody talking about it.
Right. I think all three of ours, and we'll have to hear Victoria's too, but all three of ours deal with different aspects of how communication functions so radically differently over the link versus not having a link,
Hmm.
and different perspectives.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
All right.
And different ways of communicating altogether.
Yeah.
Victoria, send something shiny our
Okay.
way.
Okay. So, this is the part that leads to. I went rogue. It's what I do. I apologize, but this is what came, so I went with it. But this is what leads up to what happens in this assignment. So this is how my two characters get together to have their discussion. They're having their discussion in my head at the moment, but it'll come out. This is how we get there. And I don't know why, but when I love this question so much, and I love the parameters, like it made it so easy to just dive in. But the thing that was most interesting to me was how did they get to that point? And so I just went, I have been working in my Zettelkasten for other stuff, and there was just a section, like there was a V in a section. So I just counted back 1, 2, 3 and grabbed that card. And the card was on bioluminescence, which is something that I use in the novel I wrote. So that's the card I started with, which it's over there, or I'd show you, but it's on the other desk. So here we go. And this picks up with my character, Alex, because I think I'm finally getting a sense of how she belongs in the world, but we'll see. Alex lay on her back in the garden, a note card resting on her chest. In the dim morning light, she let her eyes settle on the network of satellites that were just winking their last visible glimmer before day obscured them. She opened her wanderings to the interface as she closed her eyes. The interface began with the ease and authority of someone who had studied deeply and was eager to share a discovery. Bioluminescence. Some say it is a fairy tale, like those we have all come to know. Alex's perception was directed to a slide. One could write an entire encyclopedia around the various kinds of folklore and magic involving lights and glowy phenomena. Illumination itself has quite a robust history, which merits further study. But setting aside the folklore and applying the rigor and metric of science has allowed the interface to make some unexpected and fascinating discoveries. The interface cued the slideshow to advance to a picture of a jellyfish. Alex smiled. Perhaps the easiest place to begin is with the ethereal class, Scyphozoa, or more specifically, the scientific named Cindaria Scyphozoa aurelia. For the layperson, the jellyfish. These simple yet complex creatures have for millions of years floated free in the depths of the Earth Ocean. A pre-colony discovery in Earth's southeastern region of California, United States, revealed a kind of jellyfish graveyard in a slab of sandstone that dated arguably to the Cambrian period, around 540 million years ago to be exact. Alex's mind advanced to a slide of the excavation site. In spite of their pre-human origin and their distant ocean habitat, the jellyfish has captured the imagination of even the most landlocked individuals. The interface advanced to the next slide. By contrast, consider the humble lampridae, the lightning bug, much more readily observable than an oceanic creature, but no less extraordinary for its shared curiosity, bioluminescence. Both creatures have a specific chemical called luciferin, which, when oxidized by the enzyme luciferase, creates the glow of cold light. The interface held glowing pictures of each creature for Alex to consider. She floated a rhetorical question. Are the satellites bioluminescence? The interface melted the pictures away and overlaid a sky map glittering with pinpoints of white light. A single dot of yellow flitted up from Alex's out of view and placed itself over a single white point on the map, turning it yellow. Alex smiled at the joke as a flutter of yellow dots cascaded across the picture, each taking its place over a single white dot. She considered this and floated a second question as her mind's apparatus circled the drain of the interface's meaning. Who knows this? The question hung in the air of her curiosity while the interface gave her a nudge. She sat bolt upright, alive with the answer. Scrambling to her feet, she shoved the note card into her pocket as the directive set her in motion. Go see Javi.
Oh, okay.
So that's how she gets in there.
Yeah.
Details to follow.
Wow, very interesting. Very interesting.
So I'm going down the road of toying with somewhere there's a joke and a revelation in the sky, but we don't know why or what it means.
Yes. We'll talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Say no
talk.
more.
I have.
I didn't share my card that where mine came from too, because the assignment was to take something from your Zettelkasten. And so I pulled out one that this is my index. I figured I would get my card from my index and choose randomly that way. And the little thing is from the Little Way of Saint Teresa of Lisieux, and it says, "Little souls are big in trust." And so that was my inspiration. So I wanted to write a story about someone who was too little really to be in the hinge, too little to be connected to the link yet. And somehow she's on a level playing field with her mother and her sister. Her sister's just old enough to have been included in the link, and it's probably about the perfect age for her first visit to the hinge. So now here's mom. She's got two kids. One that's really needs to go. She's the perfect age, and the other one that's really too little. And of course, it turns out the little one's getting in the way of her bigger sister having the experience she's supposed to have. But a helper from the hinge rescues them. So, but the whole concept was that the littlest one was her mother. I think what I wanted to convey is that adults get so into using the hinge that they lose certain capacities. Because, for example, if you thought of dress in the hinge, you would automatically picture a full gamut of all possible things that could be called a dress, including the verbs to dress. And, and it all comes like instantly. So you have the full concept. So then you're trying to explain it to a little one. It's too much to try to say. How do you put that all of that into language? And then of course the little one is saying, well, there's this thing with this funny thing that comes out from the waist in this weird flare, and then all you see is legs. What's going on there? I mean, it's not like she doesn't know what legs are. I mean, she wears shorts. Legs aren't obscene or anything. It's just like, what's that flare thing? And then she's confused, and she doesn't get any help. It's a dress. She doesn't know the word. Then her sister says, well, Sky wore one. What do you mean? Well, gown is a kind of a dress. But wait a minute, explain why her legs showed, because Sky's legs didn't show.
Right.
She's all puzzled. And I'm just trying to show there's the challenges of communication. The hinge, the link does so much to close all those communication loops.
Yeah. It's interesting that you made the comment about the dress, because in my draft, I put the word pocket in brackets because as I was drafting it out, it occurred to me, I have no idea what these people wear. Like, would she wear jeans? Would she have a jacket with a pocket? I'm like, I got nothing. So that's something we'll have to unpack, is What does that look like? Because I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it opens, they start talking and it opens up questions. That's
Yeah.
fun to.
Totally. That's why being
Yeah.
a writer is so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for my own bit, I did what you could have bet that I would do. And I started out trying to research something that goes in the henge that belongs with those two people talking, and come up with a way that it needs to tie together and all of this and blah, 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 blah. And it has to do with calculus, which I don't know, but I learned the words, the limit.
Ah, there you go. Yep, very essential.
And I already had something floating around about Bast.
Uh-huh. Ah. Yeah, so tell us about Bast.
It's a plant.
Uh-huh.
It's a plant on Earth.
Mm.
Huh?
And it's, sort of like hemp in a way, not exactly, but it's the sort of thing that just naturally you can make stuff from.
Okay.
Now the Bast on Lydia is probably not exactly the same. Might be a little nicer,
Not if it has
more-
those properties.
a little more about being flexible. But yeah, it grows plentifully
Wow.
on Lydia. We shall
Cool.
find out. Not a spoiler.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. This was a good one.
So Deb, how was your adventure? You mentioned in our meeting on Saturday that you had been sent onto another track.
I went down several rabbit holes, actually, you know, um, and they were all artifact driven, you
Ah.
know. What was the other one? The other one was oh my goodness, my Civ brain is in play. The typewriter, that's what it was.
Oh, okay.
The typewriter. And the whole idea of having to move your fingers to make these marks that were different, all in accordance again to where you were born. You know,
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
yeah,
That one makes its way in.
you hope it does. Well,
Yeah, like it.
maybe. And what was it? There were. Let me see. Oh, the cassette tape player, music cassette tape. It was like, and this one, a hand sketched Zettelkasten card. It was like a maybe, here is something. It was a suggestion. And the question was, where did this come from? What did it do? Why is it here?
Yeah. Yeah.
All those kinds of questions. So these were rabbit holes that kind of plagued my sleep until
I hear you.
yeah, I came up with the dream.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's spectacular. I've been known to go wild with those in a certain era of my life.
I can't
Yeah,
even.
I was my mind got unruly. I usually go to bed at 10:30. I'm usually hitting the pillow at 10:30. I go up and, then hit the pillow at 10:30. Last night, it would not let me go to sleep. I had to ask it, please. It was like 1:30. It's like, I got sleep to get. Please remember all of this in the morning. But I got up a bunch of times to write things down. Lots of spoilers. But yeah, it's just you just start pulling on the threads. And wow. Help.
Oh yeah, you're officially in it now.
I know. I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. I know exactly what you have said as a kind of a slogan, Victoria, when you've talked about how you had reached the point where you couldn't keep the whole book in your head. And maybe you could earlier, but that's not where you're living now. And the Zettelkasten is a safe place to tuck these things so you can get back to them. Oh my God. It's life preserver.
Yeah, once you go far enough down that road, it's the only tool that I've ever found that actually works.
And it must be that way for nonfiction too, right? Because a lot of
yeah,
it's just like let your mind go and see what connects, and then it says, oh, okay, friend, this is on.
Yeah, that's exactly. Be careful what you wish for. Yeah, for me, it works exactly the same way.
Well, thank you. We've missed Mel. Mel is climbing out of his weeds this week. And
Nice.
Godspeed, man. Blaze the trail. So we'll figure out who the host for next week is and all that jazz. Again, where can people find all this stuff, Kathleen?
At lilypub.org. That's where we hang out. You'll find a spot. You'll find the Roanoke group there. And you'll find the library where we post lots of fun stuff. You'll find just a great hangout space over on lilypub.org where you can chime in and join in the conversation of the Roanoke Project.
Yes.
Over there.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.